Hello, everyone, and welcome to Love, Faith, and Family Ministries Friday blog. I just want to say that I'm so excited to get this thing started. There's been such a pressing in my spirit to do something more than what I've been doing. I've been, working in corporate America and just kind of working in church, doing praise and worship and all those things. And as I've been doing that, God has just been preparing me for something more, something greater, something that would touch more lives. Not to say that I haven't been doing that just in my local church, and partnering with my husband. He's a minister of music. And doing that, but there's just so much more that he's pouring in because I've been willing to just kind of empty myself out and make myself available to him. Now, getting this thing started is quite awesome for me. I've had some friends that have said, okay, well, when are you going to get, something going on? When are you going to do a Bible study? Or when are you just going to sit and talk with some women or some families or some husbands and wives? And, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I've been like, hey, don't press me. Don't push me. I'm really waiting on God because I don't want to go before him. And so I feel like now I have the okay, and he's really been ordering my steps, and it's kind of been laid out for me. So I'm trying to walk in this thing the way he wants me to walk in this thing. And that's just to give you a little backdrop to know that I didn't just off a whim just come up with this thing. I really, really have a heart for people, and hence the name of the organization, the ministry, Love, Faith, and Family. If anybody knows me, I have such a deep love for God and the things of God and my faith. And I also have a deep love for my family and my close friends, which I deem to be family as well. So, and I know that some of them are looking for answers to some questions and some things that they just might not quite understand. So I studied biblical studies at St. Louis Christian, and I'm going to be going on to get my master's in either psychology or divinity, and hopefully pressing toward getting my doctorate in divinity. But I'm just excited about this opportunity, about what God is doing in my life and how he's pouring into me. So I want to be able to share some of that light and some of that joy. I just happen to prescribe to Christianity, and it is all that I am, and I believe it with all that I am. So that being said, Love, Faith, and Family Ministries Friday blog. Today, I just have a question about your family model. The model, if you didn't hear me, your family model. I have to make sure I'm speaking clearly when we're making videos and stuff so that people understand what you're saying. Sometimes I have a tendency to talk really fast. So I'm going to try and not do that. But I was asking God, for this first video, what do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? And I was kind of getting frustrated, and I'm like, oh God, I'm not qualified to do this. I don't know about this. Yeah, so what? I've gone to school and I've studied the Bible, but maybe I can't do this. And for anybody out there that's thinking, what qualifies you to be able to actually to do this thing with God or to do something for him? He qualifies you. No one else qualifies you. Your degrees don't qualify you. People don't qualify you. They can push you. They can press you. They can do all those things. They can help you. They can enhance you. But what qualifies you is God choosing you and you being willing to do the job. So I kind of went off a little bit. So let me get back to what I wanted to talk about. So I asked God, I said, okay, where do you want me to start? And he said, at the beginning. And I was like, okay, and well, what is that? Then it was like, so marriage, something, kind of dropped in my spirit. And marriage, like, okay, marriage is, okay, I'm married, my husband and I think I can do that. But he went back even farther than that, not just marriage, but the beginning of the institution of family and marriage. He started with Adam and Eve, male and female, bringing them together as one. It's not good for Adam to be alone. He made a woman. He puts Adam to sleep, pulls the rib out, and says, okay, and she's now flesh of your flesh, bone of your bone, and for this reason man will leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife, and all of that is so beautiful. And then they don't really give us any detail as to what happens, in that time. Right then, it goes straight from her being created and they're in the garden for a minute, and the next thing you know, the serpent comes along and he starts talking to Eve. So it's like, okay, they have their conversation. Now Eve is ready to she's had this manipulative conversation with the enemy, and he's told her that, you won't surely die. Yeah, God said that, but you won't surely die. He just knows that you'll be like him. You'll know good and evil. And so, he pulls her in. Nevertheless, she realizes, the Bible says she saw that the tree was good for food, pleasing to the eye, and good for attaining knowledge. So she took it and she ate it. At that point, she takes it, she eats it, and then it says she gave some to her husband who was with her. What? Wait a minute. He was with her? But somehow he's there, and the enemy is able to get a hold of her ear like that, to actually pull her that far out of the commandment that God had given her husband, which I'm sure she was very clear of, the commandment, and I believe he gave it to both of them, that they were very clear not to touch the tree. But he's with her. She eats, and then she gives it to him after having a conversation with the serpent who was also there. I just want to know where the breakdown happened. So these are the details that prior to the serpent coming up that we're missing. What's the dynamic between Adam and Eve that causes them to be disjointed? What is the dynamic in our families, between mother and father, man and wife, that is causing us to become so disjointed? Just in our relationships with one another. We haven't even gotten to the fact of children, because we're going to move on to that. But just, we are male and we are female. God created us differently. But there was a very close relationship that God had with them. He walked in the garden. So after Adam eats the apple, God responds after he eats the apple. Not to say that, because as I'm reading it, not to say that Eve didn't know already whether or not her eyes were open, because the Bible doesn't necessarily say her eyes were not open when she gave the apple to him. It just says that, she saw that it was good for those three reasons, and then she gives it to her husband, and both of their eyes are open. And it doesn't necessarily mean that her eyes weren't open until. So did she already know what she was doing when she gave him the apple? What caused that to happen? We have all of these different theories. So I just want you to talk to me about what you think about the dynamic between male and female, and just that joint and that relationship, because that's the beginning of where the family starts. Kids aren't born unless a man gets with a woman and they come together some kind of way. They know each other, as the Bible says, and then they create. So I want to talk about all of these things that cause us to be disjointed, male and female, in marriage and in relationship. And we won't get into, whether or not you're married and all of those things, because that's not what we're trying to deal with. We're just trying to deal with the dynamic itself between male and female being the head of what will be family. We have to get those relationships straightened out. And if God gave the command to the both of them, but clearly Adam was made first, and was intended to be the head of the family. So how is it that the head was sitting there and the serpent is now able to come in, manipulate the woman, and then the woman eats the apple? Maybe she already knows what she's doing when she eats the apple and she gives it to him, and then possibly then after being manipulated, she manipulates him to get him to do what she wants to do, but he wasn't protecting the family in the first place. And hence where all the drama and all the foolishness begins. So anyway, these are just some of my observations of the story. So if you want to take some time to, do a little study on it yourself, or if you already know about the story, I would love to hear your comments. Subscribe to the channel. There will be more Love, Faith, and Family Friday Ministry Friday blogs for us to just talk about what's going on out here. I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me for today, and I will see you soon. Love, Faith, and Family Ministry signing out. We love you. Bye.